Imagine carrying so much grief that you forget how happiness feels. HarperCollins, a wealthy CEO, had not smiled in 10 long years. Not since the day her wife passed away. Her business empire continued to grow, but inside, everything stayed frozen. Then one ordinary janitor stepped into her world and quietly changed the course of her life. Before we go further into this story, take a moment to subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The elevator rose smoothly to the 47th floor. Inside, HarperCollins stood perfectly still, her reflection sharp and distant in the metal walls. From the hallway, I often watched her through the glass walls of her corner office, and to be honest, she terrified almost everyone. She felt less like a person and more like a machine. Calm. Precise. Unreachable. She ruled from behind a massive desk, signing deals worth millions without hesitation. Her tailored black suit was flawless. Her hair was pulled back so tightly it never moved. Her eyes were gray and cold, like a winter sky before a storm. "Ma'am, the quarterly reports," her assistant said softly, sliding papers forward with careful hands. Harper didn't lift her head. "Just sign. Next page. Sign." Again and again. The assistant left quietly, as if escaping something dangerous. I had worked security in this building for 3 years, and I had never seen HarperCollins smile. I had never seen her angry either. No joy. No sadness. Nothing. People said she changed after her wife died. That she used to be warm once. Kind. Human. The elevator chimed. 47th floor. Harper stood by the tall windows, staring out at the city below as if it belonged to her. And in many ways, it did. Collins Industries touched everything from technology to energy to medicine. She had more money than most people could imagine. But wealth could not replace what she had lost. Her phone buzzed. She answered without emotion. "Fire him. Results matter." Then the call ended. Silence returned. That's when I noticed something strange. On her desk sat a small silver picture frame, turned away from visitors but visible from the hall. Inside were 2 women laughing together. One of them was Harper, but not the version anyone knew. This Harper looked alive. The other woman had warm eyes and an easy smile. Harper's fingers tapped the glass once. Twice. Then she turned, and for a brief moment, something broke through her calm expression. Pain. Loss. Humanity. It vanished almost instantly. She picked up the frame and placed it face down with careful control. Then she spoke into the intercom. "The cleaning crew needs to be replaced. Inefficient." My chest tightened. The cleaning staff were good people. Hardworking. But when HarperCollins decided something, it happened. The next morning, she arrived at exactly 7, just like always. Same car. Same expression. Conversation stopped when she walked through the lobby. She carried authority like armor. People whispered about her. How strict she was. How distant. How empty. Not cruel, just hollow. I watched the elevator doors close behind her and couldn't stop thinking about that photo. About the woman she used to be. None of us knew what was coming next. Not even Harper. Because the next night, a new janitor arrived. Her name was Riley Evans. She smiled easily. She noticed small things. She believed people mattered. She walked into HarperCollins's gray world carrying light without even trying. Change was already in motion. I first saw Riley during my evening rounds. Her name tag caught my eye. She was short, with blonde hair tied back loosely, and a smile that felt real. She was humming as she cleaned the lobby, moving like work didn't weigh her down at all. When she noticed me, she greeted me warmly, her voice bright and open, like she was genuinely glad to see another person. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" She said it so easily that I actually looked outside through the glass doors. Rain was pouring down. Cold October rain. The kind that soaked your clothes and ruined your mood. Sure, I replied, unsure what she was seeing that I wasn't. She laughed, a bright and honest sound that filled the empty lobby like music. She said most people thought she was strange, but rain meant the plants were getting water and the air would smell clean tomorrow. She said the city lights looked magical when they reflected in puddles. I just stared at her. In 3 years of working here, no one had talked about plants or fresh air or magic. People usually complained about everything. The weather. The hours. Life. You're new, I said. First night, she replied, dipping her mop into the bucket and wringing it out like she knew exactly what she was doing. Riley Evans. Professional floor cleaner and part-time optimist. Part-time, I asked. She said full-time would be too much for most people. They needed time to adjust to that level of positivity. I felt my face soften. I realized I was smiling. I couldn't remember the last time that happened at work. I introduced myself. Marcus. Security. She smiled and said it was nice to meet me, then moved on, still humming some tune I didn't recognize. So, what's the story with the Ice Queen upstairs? She asked casually. My smile faded. You mean the CEO? Harper Collins. Riley said she saw Harper's photo in the directory and that she looked terrifying. Powerful. Untouchable. I told her Harper was intense and reminded her you never knew who might be listening. Riley paused and leaned on the mop handle, thinking. Intense how? She asked. Scary intense or sad intense? The question surprised me. I said maybe both. Riley nodded like that explained everything. She said those people usually needed kindness the most. The ones who forgot what it felt like to be seen as human. Before I could answer, the elevator chimed. Harper Collins stepped out at 9 sharp. She never stayed this late. Her schedule was strict. Riley looked up, and I held my breath. Harper's eyes moved across the lobby, the wet floor, the cleaning cart, and finally landed on Riley. Everything felt still. Then Riley smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not a fake one. A real smile. Warm and open. She greeted Harper politely and apologized for the wet floor, promising it would be dry soon. Harper just stared at her. I expected anger. Instead, Harper nodded once and walked toward the exit. Riley wished her a wonderful evening. Harper slowed for half a second, like the words hit somewhere unexpected, then she was gone into the rain. Riley went back to mopping like nothing happened. She said Harper seemed nice. I almost laughed. Riley corrected herself. Lonely, but nice. She said you could tell by the eyes. Not cold, just guarded. Like someone who had been hurt badly and didn't want to feel that again. Over the next few nights, I noticed something strange. Riley worked the 47th floor on Wednesdays and Fridays. And somehow, Harper stayed late on those same nights. Maybe coincidence. But Harper Collins didn't believe in coincidence. One Friday, I watched on the cameras as Riley cleaned the executive floor. She moved lightly, straightening frames, watering neglected plants, even talking to them like they were old friends. Around 10:30, Harper's office door opened. She stood there quietly, watching Riley through the glass. Riley was cleaning windows and singing softly about better days. When she finally turned and saw Harper, she jumped and apologized for the noise. Harper didn't respond right away. She just stood there, looking at a woman who carried light so naturally it almost hurt to see. Riley offered to come back later if needed, her voice gentle and sincere. No, Harper said softly. Continue. And I swear this is true. She pulled out a chair in the conference room and sat down, simply watching. Riley returned to cleaning, but the energy had shifted. Her movements were slower now, more careful. The easy rhythm was gone, replaced by awareness. You don't have to watch me, Riley said gently. I promise I'm not stealing anything. She paused, then added lightly, maybe a pen if it's really nice, but nothing important. I'm not worried about that, Harper replied. Her voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. Then what? Harper stayed silent for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Finally she said, I'm trying to remember what it looks like. Riley stopped. She turned fully toward Harper, her expression calm and understanding. Do you want to know the secret? Harper lifted an eyebrow. It was the first real expression I'd seen from her in years. It's not about being happy all the time, Riley said. That's tiring and not real. It's about noticing something beautiful in ordinary moments. She gestured toward the window. Like how the city lights shine in the rain. Or how this building feels different at night. Quieter. Like it's resting. Harper followed her gaze, and for a brief moment, her guard slipped. I used to notice things like that, she said so softly it barely came through the speakers. What changed? Harper stood suddenly. I should let you finish your work. She took a few steps, then stopped. Riley. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the perspective. And then something happened that rewrote everything I thought I knew about HarperCollins. She almost smiled. Not fully. But close. Riley lit up like she'd been given a gift. Anytime, Miss Collins. Anytime. I knew something was different when Harper started bringing coffee to work. Not basic coffee. The good kind from that small cafe down the street that charged too much and somehow earned it. Every morning, she arrived with 2 cups. She drank one. The other she left untouched on the desk outside her office. It stayed there all day until Riley came in at night. Thursday was when everything shifted. I was checking cameras when I heard the crash. 47th floor. The sound of something breaking, liquid splashing, papers sliding. I rushed toward the elevator, but voices stopped me short. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Riley said, panic rising in her voice. I peeked around the corner. Coffee was everywhere. It soaked Harper's white blouse, dripped onto the floor, spread across scattered papers. Riley was kneeling, trying to fix everything with paper towels that stood no chance. Harper stood still, hair slightly out of place, clothes ruined. I didn't see you, Riley said quickly. The cart caught on the carpet and... Stop, Harper said quietly. Riley froze. I braced myself. But instead of anger, Harper laughed. Just a small sound. Surprised. Unplanned. The first laugh I'd heard from her in years. It's just coffee, Harper said, glancing down at herself. And this blouse was uncomfortable anyway. Riley stared at her. You're not firing me? No, Harper said. Though I may need to borrow a shirt. I have a spare uniform, Riley said instantly. It's clean. That would be perfect. 20 minutes later, HarperCollins walked through her office wearing a janitor's uniform. It didn't fit quite right, but she looked more real than ever. Riley stayed late to help clean, insisting it was only fair. At midnight, they were scrubbing the carpet together. Riley leaned back and smiled. This is the most fun I've had at work in months. Harper looked confused. Fun? When was the last time you did something messy and unplanned? Harper paused, hands still. I don't do messy. Maybe you should, Riley said. Perfect is lonely. And sometimes the best moments show up when everything goes wrong. Harper's hands stopped moving. Completely still. I saw the photo, Riley said softly, keeping her eyes on the stain. On your desk. She was beautiful. Through the camera, I watched Harper's expression shift. The mask she wore every day cracked, and for a moment, something fragile showed through. She was, Harper whispered. Her voice barely carried. What was her name? Sarah. The name sounded careful, almost sacred. Her name was Sarah. Tell me about her. Harper was silent for a long time. Long enough that I thought she wouldn't answer. Then she spoke, slowly. She laughed at everything. Bad movies. My terrible cooking. Even her own jokes when they didn't make sense. She found joy in small things. A perfect cup of coffee. Sunsets. The way snow rested on the windowsill. Riley smiled while scrubbing. She sounds amazing. She was. And when she died, Harper's voice faltered, the world lost its color. Everything turned gray. Food had no flavor. Music felt empty. Even mornings meant nothing. Harper glanced at the stain between them. Especially coffee. She used to make it for me every morning. Said it was her way of saying good morning without words. Is that why you bring 2 cups to work? Riley asked gently. Harper looked up, startled. You noticed? I notice everything, Riley said. It's not always helpful. Harper leaned back, no longer cleaning. I don't know why I do it. Habit, maybe. Or hope. Hope that somehow she'll be there. Yes. Riley reached out and lightly touched Harper's hand. She's not really gone. She's in every kind thing you do. Every moment you allow yourself to notice beauty. Every time you choose to feel something other than pain. Harper stared at their hands. I don't remember how to do that. Then maybe it's time to learn again. Harper lifted her gaze. Really looked at Riley. And for the first time in 10 years, there was something else in her eyes. Not ice. Possibility. The coffee, Harper said suddenly. Tomorrow morning. Would you want to share it with me? Riley's face brightened instantly. I'd love that. Harper almost smiled. Almost. But it was closer than she'd been in years. As they finished cleaning, I felt it too. Something had changed in that room. Something that couldn't be fixed or undone. The stain never fully disappeared. A faint mark stayed in the carpet. Harper never replaced it. Some reminders were worth keeping. Some messes mattered. And sometimes, the best moments were born from things falling apart. I wasn't supposed to be in Harper's office, but she asked me to water the plants while she was in meetings. I was curious. After our coffee conversation that morning, I wanted to understand her. The office was neat and controlled, exactly as expected. Except for one corner. A small bookshelf hidden from view. It was personal. Worn books. A chipped mug. A dried flower pressed carefully between glass. And photos. I knew I shouldn't look. But I did. The first photo stole my breath. Harper and Sarah on their wedding day, laughing as they fed each other cake. Harper looked radiant. Alive. The next showed them on a beach. Sarah building something in the sand while Harper watched, unguarded and soft. Camping. Holidays. Laughter everywhere. In every picture, Harper was smiling. She made that scarf. I turned sharply. Harper stood in the doorway. Calm. Watching. I apologized quickly, stepping back. It's all right, she said, closing the door gently. I don't usually let anyone see those. I shouldn't have looked, but you did. Harper stepped closer, standing beside me as she studied the photos. Her face was calm, unreadable. What do you see? She asked. I hesitated, then answered honestly. I see love. Real love. The kind that changes you. Harper picked up the Christmas photo, her thumb brushing over Sarah's face with quiet care. She spent 3 months making that scarf. It was uneven and the wrong color and honestly terrible. But you kept it. I wore it every winter for 5 years, Harper said, then her voice faded. Until she got sick. She placed the photo back gently. Pancreatic cancer. By the time they found it, it had spread everywhere. Stage 4. There were no right words, so I stayed quiet. She was sick for 8 months, Harper went on. Treatments. Hospitals. Hope shrinking day by day. She lifted another photo. Sarah in a hospital bed, hair gone, smiling anyway. The last month, she couldn't stand. But every morning she tried to make me coffee. Her hands shook, but she refused to stop. She loved you. She did. And I loved her more than I knew was possible. Harper sank into her chair, suddenly looking tired in a way I'd never seen. After she died, people said I'd move on. That I'd find someone else. That she'd want me happy. You didn't believe them. How could I? Sarah wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend. The person who made me want to be better. How do you replace that? I sat on the edge of her desk. Maybe you don't replace it. Maybe you make room for something different. Harper looked up sharply. Different how? I don't know. But maybe love doesn't always look the same. Maybe it's quieter. Or slower. Or maybe it's not about finding another Sarah. Maybe it's about becoming the person Sarah loved again. Harper looked away. I don't remember who that person was. I think you do. I think she's still there. Just scared. Scared of what? Of feeling that deeply again. Of losing it. Harper let out a dry laugh. That sounds smart. Maybe. But Sarah didn't love you because you were safe. She loved you because you were brave enough to love her back. She turned and really looked at me. When did you get so insightful? I'm not. I just pay attention. I've been watching you. Watching me? She asked. Not in a strange way. You're not who people think you are. You leave coffee for others. You notice tired faces. You approved holiday overtime when no one else would. Harper frowned. How do you know that? Because you're not cold. You're hiding. She moved to the window, the light catching the tension in her shoulders. What if I don't want to stop hiding? Then that's your choice. But Sarah wouldn't want you to disappear. You didn't know her. No. But I know love. And love wants you to live. Harper rested her forehead against the glass. It's been 10 years. 10 years of gray. I don't know if I remember color. Then we start small, I said, joining her. Small how? I pointed outside. What do you see? She answered quickly. Buildings. Cars. People rushing. Look again. She did, slower this time, her eyes narrowing as she focused. The sunset, she said slowly. It's orange and pink. And there's a couple down there, holding hands. She's laughing at something he said. Her voice softened. And there's a little girl feeding pigeons in the park. Her mother is watching her, smiling. Color, I said quietly. It's still there. You just have to choose to notice it. Harper turned toward me, and for a brief moment, her armor cracked. What if I'm not ready? Then we wait. I touched her arm gently. Sarah loved you. That love didn't vanish when she did. It became part of you. And maybe it's time to let that love show you how to live again. Harper studied me, conflict clear in her eyes. Then she almost smiled. Coffee tomorrow? Coffee tomorrow, I said. And when I left her office that night, I knew something had begun. The storm hit just after 8 as I finished the executive floor. Rain slammed against the windows. Wind roared so loudly the building trembled. The lights flickered, then everything went dark. Emergency lighting filled the halls with a red glow. My phone buzzed. Evacuate immediately. Severe weather. Power issues. As I gathered my supplies, a knot formed in my stomach. Harper's office light was still on. She was still here. I should have left. I didn't. I knocked. "Are you okay, Miss Collins?" She opened the door looking shaken. Hair out of place. Jacket gone. Phone clenched tight. Elevators are down. Security is offline. We're stuck until power returns. Could be hours. I looked at the red-lit hallway. "Well, this is cozy." She stared at me. "You're calm." Should I panic? I shrugged. "We've got food, water, and decent chairs. Could be worse. Like being trapped in an elevator." She shuddered. "Fair point." Another gust hit the building. "Come on," I said. "Let's camp out in your office. Best view in the place." An hour later, we had snacks, candles, and furniture pushed together near the windows. It almost felt warm. "I can't remember the last time I sat on the floor," Harper said, settling down with pretzels. "Sarah used to insist on living room picnics," I said. "She sounds fun." She was. Always telling me to loosen up. "Life's too short," she'd say. "Learn to play." Did you? Harper watched the lightning light up the sky. For a while, yes. Everything felt lighter with her. "What did you do together?" "Silly things. Dancing while cooking. Notes hidden in my bag. Skipping work to go to the zoo." "The zoo?" Her lips curved slightly. "Penguins and overpriced ice cream." She wanted me to remember wonder. "Did you?" I did. The candles flickered as thunder rolled. "What about you?" Harper asked. "What makes you feel that way?" I thought for a moment. Storms. There's something about all that power and chaos creating beauty. "Like what?" "Like this," I said, as lightning painted the sky in brilliant light. I pointed toward the windows as lightning split the clouds in bright flashes. "Look at that," I said. "It's frightening and beautiful at the same time." Harper followed my gaze. In the candlelight, her face looked different. Calm. For once, she wasn't thinking about deadlines or meetings. She was just here. "I used to love storms," she said quietly. "Sarah and I would sit on the porch and watch them roll in. She'd make hot chocolate and we'd share a blanket." What changed? She died during a storm like this. I was at work. Roads were closed. I couldn't reach the hospital. By the time I got there, her voice faltered, she was already gone. My chest tightened. "Harper, I'm so sorry." I blamed myself for a long time. If I had left earlier. If I had ignored the warnings. If I'd been there. "She wouldn't want you to carry that." "How do you know?" "Because love doesn't ask for punishment. It wants forgiveness. It wants peace." Tears slipped down her face, quiet and steady in the soft light. "I miss her," she whispered. "Every day." Her laugh. Her awful cooking. The way she stole the blankets. "Of course you do. That's love." "But it hurts," she said. "So much that I can't breathe sometimes." I moved closer. "Can I share something?" She nodded. "My grandmother raised me after my parents died. When she passed, I was angry. At everything. At her. I stopped living for a while. Just went through the days." "What changed?" I found a letter she wrote. It said grief is love with nowhere to go. But love doesn't end. It shifts. It becomes kindness. Beauty. Courage. Harper wiped her eyes. "That's beautiful." She was right. The love stays. It just takes a new form. We sat quietly as the storm softened. The thunder drifted farther away. "Riley. Yeah. Thank you for staying. Thank you for letting me. She looked at me then, really looked, and something gentle surfaced. I haven't talked about Sarah like this in years. It feels scary, but good. Healing usually does. Another flash lit the sky, and Harper smiled. Truly smiled. There it is, I said. What? Your smile. She covered her mouth, surprised. I didn't even notice. It's good. I haven't smiled in 10 years. I know. Sarah said you had a beautiful one. She was right. Harper studied me, eyes wide with something like wonder. How do you do that? Do what? Make things feel possible. I took her hands softly. I don't make them possible. I just remind you they already are. The storm carried on outside. Inside her office, wrapped in candlelight and shared memories, something warm was growing. Something hopeful. And for the first time in a decade, Harper Collins was smiling. I knew something was off the moment I walked in Monday morning. One coffee cup sat on the desk. For 2 weeks, there had always been two. Our quiet routine. The best part of my day. Now there was only one. When I saw Harper later, she wouldn't look at me. Good evening, Miss Collins, I said as she passed. She gave a brief nod and kept going. No smile. No warmth. It felt like that night had never happened. I tried to brush it off. Maybe work was heavy. Maybe something went wrong. But I knew the truth. Harper Collins was afraid. By Wednesday, I couldn't ignore it. I waited until the building emptied, then knocked on her door. Come in. She sat at her desk, buried in papers, eyes fixed downward. If this is about cleaning, contact management. Her tone was distant. Cold. Professional. All the closeness we had slowly built over those weeks disappeared, like it had never been real. I'm not here about cleaning. Then why are you here? I'm here because of you. That made her pause. She looked up, and for a second something honest crossed her face before the wall came back up. I don't know what you're talking about. You do. Harper placed her pen down carefully, like she was steadying herself. Riley, I think you misunderstood things. Did I? Yes. That night shouldn't have happened. The words landed hard. A mistake? I was emotional. I let my guard down. I shared too much. You mean you were honest? I mean I forgot my place. She stood and moved toward the window, her back stiff. I forgot who I am, who you are, and what this is. And what is it? You work here. I'm your boss. That's it. I watched the tension in her shoulders, the way she looked like she might crack if pushed. And you know that's not the whole truth. She turned sharply. Excuse me? What happened wasn't about titles. It was about two people connecting. Two people doing what? Her voice was sharp, defensive. Caring about each other. Maybe even feeling something. Is that what you think? Yes. Then you're wrong. But her eyes told a different story. Fear hiding behind control. Pain hiding behind anger. Am I wrong? Because the woman who sat with me that night, the woman who smiled for the first time in years, she didn't feel like a mistake. That woman is gone. She's still right here. Harper let out a dry laugh. You don't understand what you're asking. Then help me understand. You want to know? She raised her voice. You're asking me to risk losing myself again. To open my heart knowing it could all fall apart. Harper, listen, no. When Sarah died, I didn't just lose her. I lost who I was. I couldn't function. I couldn't breathe. I almost lost everything else too. But you didn't. Because I shut it down. Every feeling. Every hope. I built walls so nothing could reach me. Nothing could hurt me. And nothing could heal you either. Healing isn't something I can afford. That isn't living. That's surviving. Surviving is enough. Is it? Because it looks like you're fading more every day. She flinched, like the truth stung. You don't know me. I do. I see how scared you are. Not of me. Of hope. Hope hurts. So does giving up. We stood there in silence, the tension thick between us. I could see the struggle in her eyes. I can't do this, she said quietly. I don't want you to be anything else. You want me to risk loving again. And I can't. I won't. I can't survive that kind of loss twice. I stepped closer. What if it wasn't a loss? What if it was something worth having? And if it ends? If it hurts? Then you would have loved fully. And that matters. She shook her head. Sarah wouldn't want this. Don't. Her voice hardened. Don't speak for her. She'd want you to live. She'd want you safe. Safe isn't living. It's just getting by. Harper turned away. This is done. I said it's over. I want you transferred. I don't want to see you anymore. The words hit deep. You don't mean that. Say it to my face. Her shoulders tightened, but she didn't turn around. Look at me, Harper. If you truly want me to leave, look me in the eyes and tell me you feel nothing. For a long second, she stayed still. I could see her reflection in the glass. I could see the tears she was fighting. Then, slowly, she turned. Her eyes were wet, shining, and full of conflict. Love pulling one way. Fear pulling the other. She began, then stopped. Say it, I murmured. Tell me you feel nothing. Her lips parted, then pressed together again. I can't, she whispered. Because it wouldn't be true. She swallowed. And because it doesn't matter. Her voice cracked. What I feel doesn't change anything. I can't do this. I won't. Harper, please. The words slipped out, raw and honest. Please just go, she said softly. Before I lose control and hurt us both. I looked at her for a long moment, seeing everything she couldn't face yet. Okay, I said at last. I'll go. But Harper. She looked at me. When you're ready to stop running, you know where to find me. I turned toward the door. Riley. I stopped but didn't turn back. I'm sorry, she said. So am I. And then I left. My heart broke for both of us, because I could see what Harper couldn't. She wasn't shielding herself from pain. She was sinking deeper into it. And until she chose to reach out, all I could do was wait and hope that love would be louder than fear. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of her avoiding me like I didn't exist. 3 weeks of 1 coffee cup instead of 2. 3 weeks of polite nods and frozen distance. The guarded version of Harper Collins was back, sealed inside her gray world. I should have let go. I should have asked for a transfer and moved on. But I couldn't. Because I'd seen her smile. I'd seen the woman who watched storms and spoke of love without breaking. And I wasn't done fighting for her. That's why I stood outside her office at 11 on a Friday night, holding 2 coffees and far too much hope. I knocked. Come in. She looked up, and I watched surprise turn into longing, then fear, then resignation. I thought I was clear, she said. You were. I set 1 cup on her desk. But I'm not here as your employee. Then what are you here as? Your friend. She stared at the cup like it was dangerous. I don't have friends. You have me. Riley, don't, just listen. 5 minutes. If you still want me gone after that, I'll disappear. She hesitated, then motioned to the chair. I sat, gripping the cup for courage. I've been thinking about what you said. About not surviving another loss. Let me finish. You're right. Love is a risk. There are no guarantees. Then why are you here? Because I realized something. You think you're protecting yourself. But you're not. You're punishing yourself. She shook her head. That's not fair. It is. You're punishing yourself for surviving when Sarah didn't. For wanting connection again. For daring to hope. Her hands tightened on the desk. You don't understand. I do. You loved her deeply. Losing her nearly broke you. But this isn't honoring her. It's burying what she loved most about you. How dare you? She loved you, didn't she? Truly loved you. Yes. Then she loved your joy. Your laughter. Your ability to see beauty. By refusing to feel, you're not keeping her close. You're erasing yourself. Tears slipped free now. I don't know how to live differently. You do. You showed me during the storm. For one night, you remembered who you were. I leaned forward. I'm not asking you to forget her. I'm not asking you to replace her. I'm asking you to live again. What if I can't? What if you can? She wiped her face. What if I try and fail? What if you try and it's beautiful? Riley, she whispered, I'm scared. I am too. But Harper, I would rather have one real day with you than a lifetime of empty safety with anyone else. She looked at me, and I could see the fight inside her. Fear against hope. Pain against longing. I don't know how to do this, she said at last. Neither do I. We'll learn together. What if we stop asking what if and start asking what now? She fell quiet, eyes fixed on the coffee cup between us. Sarah used to say love wasn't about finding someone perfect, she said softly. It was about finding someone worth fighting for. She sounds wise. She was. Harper lifted her gaze. She also believed the heart isn't limited. That loving someone new doesn't erase the love you already carry. Do you believe that? I want to. That's enough for now. Harper stood and came around the desk, stopping in front of me. If we do this, if we try, you need to know I'm not whole. I have days when I can barely function. I wake from bad dreams. I cry without warning. I'm not who I was before Sarah. I stood too and took her hands. I don't want who you were before. I want who you are now. Every piece of you. Why? Because those cracks mean you loved deeply. Because your scars tell a story of courage. Because you're stronger than you realize. Her breath caught. Riley, when you smile, the world feels lighter. And I want to be part of that. I'm scared. Me too. What if this is a mistake? What if it's the best choice we ever make? She searched my face, and I watched her defenses soften. Then she smiled. Not the careful smile from before. A real one, warm and bright. Okay, she whispered. Okay, let's try. My heart soared. Really? Really? But can we go slow? I'm out of practice at feeling things. I laughed and pulled her into a gentle hug. As slow as you want. She relaxed against me, like she finally exhaled. Thank you, she murmured. For not walking away. For believing I was worth it. You were never broken, Harper. You were just waiting. She pulled back, eyes shining with tears and hope. I think I want to learn how to see color again. I smiled. I'd love to help you. Standing there, with the city glowing below us, I understood something simple and true. The best love stories aren't about perfection. They're about healing. About choosing each other, again and again. Harper touched my face, tentative and tender. I haven't felt this scared in 10 years. The good kind or the bad kind? The good kind. Like stepping forward and trusting someone will be there. I will. Always. And I'll be there for you too. Our kiss was soft and careful, full of promise. When we pulled apart, she was crying, but smiling at the same time. Sarah would have liked you, she said. You think so? I know so. She always said I needed someone who could make me laugh. Even when I was impossible. Especially then. We laughed together, and the sound felt like light filling the room. What now? Now we take it one day at a time. One smile at a time. I like that. Good. I have a feeling we'll have plenty. Months later, HarperCollins stood smiling at an event, her hand linked with mine. When asked what changed, she simply said she remembered how it felt to be alive. And you could see it. A woman who thought everything was over had found something worth beginning again.